Don't let anyone shame you for your English segment 1. Don't let anyone shame you for your English. Learning English has never been easy for anyone. No matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, English is not your mother tongue. It is not something you were born speaking. It is something you learn step by step, slowly, through mistakes, through effort, through confusion, and through constant practice. But the sad reality is that in many of our societies, English is treated like a measurement of intelligence, as if your worth as a human being depends on how perfectly you pronounce a word or how flawlessly you form a sentence. And the moment someone makes a small mistake, people start laughing, mocking, or passing sarcastic comments without realizing how deeply those comments can cut inside someone's confidence. That is why today's message begins with one clear truth. Don't let anyone shame you for your English. Because no one has the right to make you feel small for trying to learn something new. No one has the right to crush your confidence just because you're not perfect at a language that wasn't even yours to begin with. When someone laughs at your English, remember, they're not laughing at your intelligence. They're not laughing at your potential. They're not laughing at your abilities. They're laughing from their own insecurity. People who are truly confident never mock others. People who are truly educated never make fun of someone who is learning. Only insecure minds try to embarrass others. Only small hearts try to pull people down. When someone mocks your English, it is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. You're trying, you're improving, you're growing. That is something to be proud of. Let me tell you something important. English is just a language, not a measure of your worth. You making grammatical mistakes does not mean you're stupid. You mispronouncing a word does not mean you are less capable. You hesitating while speaking does not mean you're weak. These are simply signs that you are learning, and learning has never been something to be ashamed of. Think about it. When a child learns to walk, they fall 100 times. They stumble, lose balance, get hurt, and stand up again. Do we ever laugh at a child for falling? No. We celebrate their effort, we clap, we encourage, we help them try again. But when an adult tries to learn English and falls, suddenly people think it's funny. Suddenly people want to mock. Suddenly people want to act superior. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, they are afraid to try, afraid to make mistakes, afraid to be laughed at. So instead of working on themselves, they choose the easier path, laughing at others. You must rise above these people. You have dreams. Maybe you want a better job. Maybe you want to study abroad. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to grow your career. Maybe you want to expand your opportunities. English can help you reach those dreams. But the fear of being judged often holds people back more than the language itself. Many people understand English. Many people can speak a little, but they stay silent because they're scared someone will laugh. That silence destroys more dreams than the mistakes ever could. Let me ask you something. How will you ever become fluent if you never allow yourself to speak? How will you learn to swim if you never get inside the water? How will you ever improve if you stop yourself at the first sign of failure? Every fluent speaker you admire today, absolutely every single one, went through a phase of broken English. They also hesitated. They also mispronounced. They also made mistakes. But they kept going. They didn't stop. They didn't allow people's opinions to define their journey. You are no different. You can do the same. When someone mocks your English, remember this psychological truth. People laugh at others to hide their own weaknesses. Their laughter is a mask, a shield, a way to avoid looking at their own shortcomings. So never let that laughter decide your future. English is not proof of intelligence. English is not a certificate of worth. English is not the definition of your capability. It is simply a global communication tool, a skill. And like every skill on the planet, it is learned through practice and repetition. If someone is learning the guitar, we expect them to make mistakes at first. If someone is learning to cook, we expect burnt food at the beginning. If someone is learning to drive, we expect awkward turns and sudden breaks. So why do we expect perfection in English from someone who is just learning? Because society has created an illusion that English automatically means confidence, class, status, intelligence, or superiority. But this illusion is wrong, completely wrong. Knowing English doesn't make you a better human being. It just makes communication easier. That's all. The only thing that truly makes you better is your attitude. Your willingness to learn, your courage to try, your strength to continue, even when people laugh. You must realize something powerful. Your fluency will come from practice, but that practice requires courage. And that courage comes from ignoring people who shame you. Imagine yourself learning a bicycle. If someone laughs every time you fall and you stop because of their laughter, will you ever learn? No. But if you keep going, keep trying, keep balancing, keep pedaling, one day you'll ride smoothly. Speaking English is the same. There will be days when you forget common words. There will be moments when your mind goes blank. There will be sentences you mess up. There will be people who laugh. And all of that is okay. Mistakes are not your enemy. Fear is. People's judgment is. Your hesitation is. Mistakes make you better, but shame makes you silent. And silence kills progress. The journey to fluency is uncomfortable, but every great transformation in life begins with discomfort. No one grows inside their comfort zone. You must step outside that fear, outside that shame, and speak even when your voice shakes. Speak even when you feel unsure. Speak even when you think you might embarrass yourself. Speak because that is the only way you learn. Speak because one day the same people who laugh at you will clap for you. You might be thinking right now, what if I make a mistake while speaking? Good. Make it. What if someone laughs? Let them. What if I sound bad? It doesn't matter, because every single mistake you make today is building your fluency for tomorrow. Your future self will thank you for not giving up. The world doesn't remember people who stayed silent out of fear. The world remembers people who kept going despite fear. And today, I want you to decide which person you want to be. Do you want to be the person who gave up because someone laughed, or the person who succeeded because they refused to stop? The choice is yours. Never let anyone shame you for your English. The shame doesn't belong to you, it belongs to them. Your journey, your effort, your growth, that's what matters, not the noise around you. So as we close segment 1, I want you to remember one line deeply. Carry it with you everywhere. Your English mistakes don't define you, your courage does. And from this moment on, promise yourself, no more fear, no more shame, no more silence. You will learn, you will practice, you will speak, and no one, not a single person on this earth, will stop you again. Segment 2. Your English is a journey, not a judgment. In this segment, I want to take you deeper into a truth most people never understand. Learning English is not a race, not a competition, and definitely not something you should be judged for. It is a journey, a slow, personal, meaningful journey that belongs to you and only you. No one else has the right to dictate how fast you should learn, how perfectly you should speak, or how confidently you should express yourself. But society always tries to do exactly that. People judge your English even before they understand your dreams. They judge your grammar before they understand your struggle. They judge your pronunciation before they understand your effort. And what's worse is that many people judge you even before you get a chance to speak properly. So today, I want to break that cycle. I want to remind you of something powerful. Your English level does not define your value. Your progress does. There are millions of people around the world who speak English fluently but lack kindness. There are people who speak English elegantly but lack discipline, empathy, or intelligence. There are people who can impress others with their vocabulary but cannot impress their own conscience with their actions. And then there are people like you, people who may not be perfect in English yet, but who have dreams, sincerity, courage, and the willingness to improve. You belong to the stronger group, even if you don't realize it yet. Let me ask you something. When you were a child, did you ever feel embarrassed while learning your first language? No. You said words incorrectly, you mispronounced names, you formed sentences that didn't make sense, and people around you encouraged you. So why don't adults receive the same encouragement when learning English? Because society sees language not as communication, but as status. And this belief is what destroys thousands of learners before they even begin. Think of all the times you stayed silent in a group just to avoid the possibility of making a mistake. Think of all the times you wanted to say something but held back because someone might laugh. Think of all the opportunities you lost, not because you didn't know English, but because you were afraid to speak it. Fear has taken more from you than the language ever has. But today, that changes, because once you truly understand that English is a journey, not a judgment, you will break free from the fear that has chained you for years. Let's explore this journey together. 1. Every English learner has a beginning. No one wakes up one day suddenly fluent in English. Every expert you admire had a first day. Every speaker you respect had a first sentence. Every professional you look up to had a first awkward conversation. The difference is that they didn't quit. Think about people who go to the gym. On the first day, they can't lift heavy weights. They can't run fast. They get tired quickly. But they go again the next day, and the next, and the next. One day, without even realizing it, they become strong. Your English works the same way. Right now, you're lifting light weights. Right now, you're learning basic sentences. Right now, you're making small mistakes. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Because beginnings are not meant to be perfect, they're meant to be honest. 2. Mistakes are not failures, they are training. When a baby is learning to walk, falling is not failure, it is training. When a musician is learning a new instrument, wrong notes are not failure, they are training. When an athlete is learning a new skill, losing balance is not failure, it is training. So why do you treat mistakes in English as failures? Every mistake you make is a brick in the foundation of your fluency. Every sentence you try to speak is a victory. Every new word you learn is a step forward. Every time you push yourself beyond your comfort zone, you become stronger. Failure is not when you get a verb wrong. Failure is when you let shame stop you from trying again. 3. Shame is the real enemy, not English. Many people think English is difficult, but the truth is, English is not the problem. Shame is. Shame stops your voice. Shame stops your progress. Shame stops your dreams. Shame convinces you that you are not good enough even when you are improving every day. And where does this shame come from? Not from you, not from your effort, not from your heart. It comes from people who laugh at you without understanding how hard you're trying. It comes from people who think mocking someone makes them superior. It comes from people who have no idea how courage feels. But you must understand something crucial. Shame is a lie. Progress is the truth. When someone laughs at your English, they are only revealing their character, not your limitations. Their reaction reflects them, not you. You must learn to rise above that shame. You must learn to replace shame with pride. Pride in your effort, pride in your courage, pride in your growth. Because one day those same people who laughed will be shocked at your improvement. For your English will grow as you grow. Language learning is not separate from life. As you grow, your English grows. As your mindset improves, your fluency improves. As your confidence increases, your speech improves. English is not something you memorize. English is something you practice, experience, and become comfortable with. Here's something most learners don't realize. You don't become fluent inside your comfort zone. You become fluent when you push yourself into situations where you feel uncomfortable. When you speak English, even though your voice trembles. When you try, even though you think you'll fail. When you answer, even though others might judge. That's where the real magic happens. That's where fluency grows. Fluency is not born from perfection. Fluency is born from persistence. 5. English is a key, not an identity. In many countries, people treat English like a symbol of status. If you speak it well, you're respected. If you speak it poorly, you're judged. But this is a false belief, a harmful belief, a belief that holds people back. English is just a key that unlocks opportunities, access, and global communication. But it is not your identity, it is not your personality, it is not your worth, your values, your character, your intelligence, your skills, your kindness. These are what define you. English is simply a tool you are learning to use, and there is no shame in learning a tool. Think of a carpenter. Does he feel ashamed while learning a new saw? Does he feel embarrassed while learning new techniques? No, because he knows tools make him better at his work. English is your tool. Learn it proudly. 6. Confidence is more important than grammar. People think English fluency is about perfect grammar, but they're wrong. Fluency is about confidence. Fluency is about communication. Fluency is about expression. You can have perfect grammar and still be afraid to speak. You can have limited grammar and still speak powerfully. Confidence wins. Confidence communicates. Confidence inspires. Never forget this. People don't remember your grammar. People remember your message. If your message is clear, your mistakes don't matter. 7. You are not behind. You are becoming. Maybe you compare yourself to others who speak English better. Maybe you feel you're too slow. Maybe you think you're too late. But you are not behind. You are becoming, becoming stronger, becoming braver, becoming clearer, becoming more capable, Your journey is not meant to look like anyone else's. You are learning at your own pace, in your own style, through your own experience, and that is enough. Final words of segment 2. As we end this segment, I want you to take one message into your heart. Your English is a journey, not a judgment. You are learning, you are trying, you are growing, and you should be proud of that. Do not let anyone rush you. Do not let anyone embarrass you. Do not let anyone define your pace. This is your journey. Walk it with courage. Walk it with dignity. Walk it knowing that every step you take brings you closer to the confident speaker you are becoming. Your story has just begun, and no one, not a single person, has the right to shame you for the chapters you are still writing. Segment 3. The courage to speak matters more than speaking perfectly. There is a moment every English learner experiences, a moment when the mind knows what to say, but the mouth refuses to cooperate. A moment when the words feel trapped, when the fear of being judged is louder than the courage to speak. This silence is not caused by a lack of vocabulary. It is caused by a lack of confidence. And confidence does not grow in perfection. Confidence grows in action. English learners around the world face the same challenge. No matter the country or background, the greatest barrier is not grammar or pronunciation. The biggest obstacle is the fear of being wrong. This fear has silenced more voices than lack of knowledge ever has. It has held people back from conversations, opportunities, jobs, friendships, and entire new directions in life, not because they were incapable, but because they underestimated themselves. In this segment, the message is simple and direct. The courage to speak matters more than speaking perfectly. Most people misunderstand fluency. They think fluency is the ability to speak without pauses, without mistakes, without hesitation. But true fluency is the ability to communicate your message clearly, even if your sentence structure is simple, even if your grammar is not flawless, even if your accent is different. The purpose of language is communication, not perfection. Look at how children speak. They do not wait to master grammar. They do not hesitate because someone might correct them. They speak because they want to express themselves. Their mistakes never stop them. And because they keep speaking, they improve naturally. Adults, on the other hand, overthink every sentence. They analyze each word, worry about judgment, and expect perfection before they have even begun. This mindset prevents growth. When you decide to speak English, you step into a space where your mistakes become your teachers. Each time you mispronounce a word, you learn something. Each time you construct a sentence differently, you understand the pattern better. Each time you force yourself to talk even when you feel nervous, you strengthen your internal confidence. That act of trying is what builds real fluency. Imagine two learners. The first one knows 1,000 words but never speaks because he fears making errors. The second one knows only 100 words but uses them daily, even when uncertain. Who do you think will become fluent first? Obviously, the second one. Because fluency is not memorization, fluency is practice, and practice requires courage. The world does not need perfect English from you. It needs your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions, your experiences. But none of that can be expressed if you remain silent. Silence steals your voice, and your voice is far more valuable than perfect grammar. In any conversation, the person who speaks imperfectly but boldly is respected far more than the person who remains quiet out of fear, When you make a mistake and still continue speaking, you show bravery. You prove that you value progress more than pride, and that mindset transforms learners into confident communicators. As you move forward in your English journey, you must understand something important. You cannot think your way into fluency. You must speak your way into fluency. Reading textbooks will help. Learning grammar rules will help. Watching videos will help. But nothing replaces speaking. Speaking is the engine. Everything else is fuel. Without speaking, the engine cannot run. There will be moments when you speak slowly. There will be moments when you need time to form your sentence. There will be moments when you use the wrong tense or forget a word. These are normal parts of learning. No one becomes fluent by avoiding mistakes. They become fluent by passing through them. Many English learners compare themselves with native speakers. This comparison is unfair and unproductive. A native speaker learned English from birth. You are learning as an adult. Expecting your fluency to match theirs instantly is unrealistic. Your journey is different. Your background is different. Your language foundation is different. You are not expected to sound like them. You are expected to communicate effectively, confidently, and clearly in your own way. Your accent is not a weakness. It is proof of your identity. It shows you know more than one language. It shows you have a linguistic background worth appreciating. An accent should never be a source of shame. Every country has accents. Even within native English-speaking regions, accents vary. Yet none of them consider their accent a fault. You shouldn't either. A common misconception is that people will judge you for your imperfect English. In reality, most people do not care if your grammar is perfect. They care if your message is understandable. They care if the conversation has meaning. They care if you are willing to participate. Only those who lack empathy or understanding judge others for language imperfections. These are not the people whose opinions should matter to you. When you speak, focus on expressing, not impressing. Expression builds connection. Impressing builds stress. You do not need complicated vocabulary to deliver powerful thoughts. Simple words can express deep ideas when spoken with clarity and confidence. Many successful global leaders speak English far from perfectly, yet they lead. They are respected. Why? Because their ideas are strong, their message is clear, and their confidence is solid. They speak without fear of being judged. You can do the same. As you continue learning, pay attention to small improvements. A few more words used today, a slightly clearer sentence, a moment of confidence you did not have before. These tiny steps accumulate. They turn into transformation, and eventually they create fluency. In your path, you will meet two types of people. The first type will encourage you. They will help you, support you, correct you gently, and appreciate your effort. These people want you to grow. The second type will mock you. They will laugh, comment, criticize, or try to make you feel small. These people want you to stop. You must learn to listen only to the first type. The second type teaches you nothing. Remember, a person who laughs at your English reveals more about themselves than about you. Their insecurity is speaking, not their intelligence. Their mockery has nothing to do with your ability. Let them laugh. Their laughter will fade. Your improvement will last. Every time you feel afraid to speak, remind yourself of this truth. The world rewards those who act, not those who wait. If you wait for perfect English before speaking, you will wait forever. If you speak now, even with mistakes, the learning will begin. Learning requires movement. Movement requires courage. The courage to speak is what separates learners who progress from those who remain stuck. If you want to move forward, the first step is your voice. Use it. Do not let it stay hidden. Do not let fear control it. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. The easier it becomes, the faster you grow. You are capable of mastering English. You have already begun. You are improving every day. You just need to give yourself permission to speak imperfectly, because imperfection is the doorway to fluency. At the end of this segment, remember this one line clearly: courage creates fluency, perfection does not. Segment 4: why your English mistakes are proof of your progress, not evidence of your weakness. There is a belief many learners hold deep inside: the idea that mistakes in English are signs of weakness, signs of failure, or signs of inability. But this belief is completely wrong. In reality, your mistakes are proof that you are moving forward, proof that you are learning something new, proof that you are challenging yourself, proof that you are refusing to remain silent. In this segment, we are going to break down the truth that most people never hear. Your English mistakes are not something to hide. They are something to study, something to accept, and something to use as fuel for your growth. Every mistake you make speaks a language of its own, and the message is simple: you are improving. Think about any skill you have learned in your life: cooking, driving, writing, using a computer, playing a sport, anything. Did you begin as an expert? No. You began by making errors. Your early attempts were filled with uncertainty. You burned food, pressed the wrong buttons, fell while learning to ride a bicycle, typed slowly, dropped objects, miscalculated things. But eventually, through repetition and correction, you improved. English works exactly the same way. Yet for some strange reason, people expect perfection from themselves the moment they begin. They expect to speak without hesitation. They expect to understand everything immediately. They expect to create flawless sentences from day one. This expectation does not match reality. No one becomes excellent without going through phases of confusion and correction. If you look at the journey of any fluent speaker, you will find the same pattern. They spoke incorrectly, they mispronounced, they made grammatical errors. What separates them from those who remain stuck is that they did not quit because of their errors. They used their mistakes as stepping stones. Mistakes are not the opposite of success. They are part of the process that leads to success. When you speak English imperfectly, you are not failing. You are training. You are building muscle memory in your brain. You are strengthening the pathways that make speaking easier. You are activating parts of your mind that cannot grow through silence or fear. Silence creates the illusion of correctness. Mistakes create evidence of practice. Many learners avoid speaking because they want to avoid embarrassment. They think that if they do not speak, no one will notice their weaknesses. But avoiding mistakes also avoids progress. Each time you choose silence over speaking, you choose comfort over improvement. You choose the illusion of safety over the reality of development. A person who tries and fails grows. A person who tries and gets corrected learns. A person who tries and stumbles becomes stronger. A person who never tries remains exactly where they are. Your mistakes show that you are in motion. They show you are not standing still. Look at people who have lived in English-speaking environments for years, but still do not speak English confidently. Many of them avoided speaking out of fear of being judged. They waited for the perfect moment, the perfect sentence, the perfect vocabulary. That moment never came. Their silence built a cage around them, a cage made of fear, not lack of ability. Now consider others who speak English with limited vocabulary, heavy accents, or imperfect grammar, yet confidently engage in conversation. These people speak despite their mistakes, and because of that, they grow rapidly. When you see someone improving faster than others, understand that the difference is courage, not intelligence. The truth is simple. The more mistakes you make, the faster you learn. You must accept the role of mistakes in your journey. When you mispronounce a word, you remember the correct pronunciation next time. When you use the wrong tense, you become aware of the rule you missed. When you struggle to express something, your mind searches for better ways to say it. That is improvement happening live, in real time. A mistake is a moment of learning. Shame is a moment of stopping. You must eliminate shame and recognize mistakes as data. They tell you exactly what you need to work on. They give you direction. They show you the next step. Without mistakes, you would have no map. Consider a scientist. When an experiment fails, a scientist does not get embarrassed. They analyze what went wrong, look for patterns, and adjust the next experiment. Their failure becomes their teacher. English mistakes work the same way. Each one teaches you something specific about your understanding. If you never make mistakes, you never receive the information necessary to grow. Many people misunderstand what learning really means. Learning is not memorizing. Learning is not reading rules. Learning is not silent understanding. Learning is the conversion of knowledge into ability. And that conversion happens only through use, through action, and through mistakes. Think of a musician practicing a song. During the early attempts, their fingers slip, the timing is wrong, the notes are off. But those incorrect attempts gradually shape correct ones. The musician is not disappointed by mistakes. They expect them. They know it is part of the craft. When you learn English, you must adopt the same mindset. You must treat your mistakes as a craftsperson treats rough drafts. If you speak 10 sentences in English today and make 7 mistakes, you should celebrate that you spoke 10 sentences. Someone who makes 0 mistakes but also speaks 0 sentences learned nothing. Progress favors the one who tries. You must stop seeing your English mistakes as failures. Failure only happens when someone stops trying. As long as you continue speaking, continue learning, continue pushing, you are not failing. You are advancing. Another important truth is this: people remember improvement, not your early errors. The mistakes you make today will not matter 6 months from now. They will be forgotten. But your progress will remain visible. The only thing others will see later is that you can speak English confidently. They will never know how many mistakes you made in the beginning. The embarrassment you feel now is temporary. The skills you gain will be permanent. You owe it to your future self to continue, regardless of errors. Your future self will look back and thank you for not giving up, for pushing through discomfort, for accepting the difficulty, for refusing to let fear control your actions. Let yourself be a beginner. Let yourself be imperfect. Let yourself speak with hesitation. Confidence does not come before practice. Confidence comes from practice. The more you speak, the more familiar the language becomes. The more familiar it becomes, the fewer mistakes you make. And slowly, without noticing the exact moment, you transform into someone who can speak English freely. If you make 100 mistakes today, do not feel discouraged. Feel encouraged. That means you learned something 100 times. Someone who makes no mistakes learn nothing. The mindset shift is important. Stop thinking of mistakes as something to hide. Think of them as something to measure your growth. Each error is a signpost on the path to fluency. Your mistakes do not expose your weaknesses, they expose your progress. As this segment ends, remember one line with clarity. Your English mistakes are not the problem. Silence is. Speak, even if you speak poorly. Speak, even if your grammar is not perfect. Speak, even if someone might judge you. Speak until speaking becomes natural. Your mistakes today will create your fluency tomorrow. Segment 5. Breaking the fear barrier. How to speak English, even when you feel unprepared. There is a moment every learner faces that becomes the turning point in their English journey. It is not the moment they learn a new word, or when they understand a new grammar rule, or when they memorize a list of vocabulary. The real turning point is the moment they decide to speak, even when they feel unprepared. That single decision transforms passive learners into active communicators. It is the moment when fear begins to lose its control. In this segment, we explore the concept of the fear barrier. What is it? Why does it exist? Why do so many learners stay stuck behind it? And most importantly, how can you break through it so you can finally speak English without hesitation? The fear barrier is not about language, it is about psychology. It is the invisible wall that stands between what you know and what you use. Many learners understand English, they read English, they write English, they even think in English sometimes. But when the moment comes to speak, something suddenly goes wrong. Their thoughts freeze, their heart races, their confidence disappears, words vanish. This is not lack of skill, this is fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of being laughed at, fear of not knowing enough, fear of not sounding good enough. This fear barrier stops millions of people around the world from speaking English, even though they have the ability. It is the largest invisible obstacle in language learning. To break the fear barrier, you need to understand where it comes from. The fear barrier often begins during childhood. Many people grow up in environments where making mistakes is criticized instead of encouraged. They receive negative comments for errors instead of guidance. They hear laughter instead of support. Over time, the mind learns to associate mistakes with embarrassment. This psychological connection becomes stronger as we grow older. As adults, we do not want to appear foolish. We do not want to appear weak. We do not want to expose our imperfections. So we avoid situations where mistakes might happen. For English learners, this means staying silent. But silence does not protect you. Silence traps you. It keeps your English locked inside your mind. It prevents knowledge from becoming skill. The fear barrier also grows stronger when learners compare themselves to others. A person may hear a friend or colleague speak English fluently and immediately think they are far behind. This creates a sense of self-doubt. It creates an illusion that fluency must be perfect. This illusion causes people to think they are not ready to speak, even when they are more than capable. Another cause of the fear barrier is the expectation of perfection. Many learners believe they must speak without mistakes, without pauses, without hesitation. This expectation is impossible to meet. Even native speakers pause, think, correct themselves, and search for words. Perfection is not real. Communication is. When you decide to break the fear barrier, you must accept three truths. First, you will make mistakes. Second, you will feel uncomfortable. Third, you must speak anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is speaking while fear is present. Now the question becomes, how do you break this fear barrier in a practical, achievable way? The first method is exposure. The more you speak, the more familiar the process becomes. When something becomes familiar, fear decreases. Think of the first day you entered a new school or workplace. You felt nervous, unsure, out of place. But after days or weeks, that environment became normal. The same happens when you speak English regularly. At first, it feels frightening. Over time, your mind adjusts. The second method is controlled practice. Instead of waiting for perfect moments, create situations that push you slightly outside your comfort zone. Speak English for 30 seconds with a friend. Ask a simple question in English at a store. Comment in English on a video. These small steps build confidence quickly. The goal is not perfection, but exposure. The third method is acceptance. Accept your mistakes as part of the learning process. When you mispronounce a word, do not apologize. Simply correct yourself and continue. When you forget a word, replace it with another simple word. Adapt instead of stopping. This self-acceptance eliminates the shame that feeds the fear barrier. The fourth method is mental reframing. Instead of thinking, "What if I make a mistake?" think, "What if I learn something new?" Instead of thinking, "People will laugh at me," think, "Their reaction does not control my future." Instead of thinking, "I am not ready," think, "Speaking is how I become ready." When you change the internal dialogue, fear loses power. The fifth method is preparation. Preparation builds confidence. You do not need to memorize long speeches, just prepare small pieces, useful sentences, common expressions, structured thoughts. When you prepare these small parts, you go into conversations with ready tools. This reduces hesitation. Being prepared does not eliminate fear completely, but it significantly weakens it. Many learners struggle because they confuse fear with inability. They think, "If I feel scared, it means I cannot do it." This is not true. Fear does not mean you cannot speak. It means speaking matters to you. It means you care about improving. It means you are about to grow. The fear barrier often breaks in a single moment. It happens the first time you speak English without waiting to feel ready. It happens the first time you decide that your message is more important than your mistakes. It happens the first time you stop caring about judgment. There is always a first moment in every success story. A moment where the person feels fear but acts anyway. The moment after that action, something changes inside them forever. They realize the world did not collapse. They realize people did not react as harshly as they imagined. They realize they are more capable than they believed. Once the fear barrier cracks, it becomes easier to break completely. One conversation becomes two, two become 10, 10 become confidence. Confidence turns into fluency. When you understand how the fear barrier works, you understand that English fluency is not purely a language challenge. It is an emotional challenge, a psychological challenge, a confidence challenge. If you do not face the fear, you cannot unlock the fluency. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you speak English without hesitation. Imagine you join conversations easily. Imagine you express ideas comfortably. Imagine interviews feel simple. Imagine reading and watching English content is natural. Imagine traveling without confusion. Imagine understanding people from different countries. Imagine the world opening up in front of you. All of that begins with one courageous decision to speak today, even if you feel unprepared. Fluency does not arrive suddenly. It grows slowly in the moments when you choose courage over fear. The fear barrier shrinks every time you speak. Each sentence you say weakens the wall. Each mistake you make punches a hole in that wall. Each attempt you take brings you closer to breaking through completely. Some learners wait for the perfect moment to start speaking. That moment never comes. There is no perfect time. There is only now. The sooner you begin, the sooner your growth begins. As we close this segment, carry one message forward. You do not speak English when you are ready. You become ready because you speak. Your fear will not disappear before you act. It disappears after you act. If you wait until fear goes away, you will wait forever. If you act while fear exists, fear will eventually vanish. The fear barrier is strong, but it is not permanent. You can break it, you can overcome it, you can move beyond it, and once you do, the confidence you gain will stay with you for the rest of your life. Speak, even if your voice shakes, even if your grammar is not perfect, even if you feel unsure. The courage you show today will build the fluency you enjoy tomorrow. Segment 6. Your accent is not a problem. Why speaking naturally matters more than sounding native. One of the biggest misconceptions in English learning is the belief that you must sound like a native speaker to be respected, understood, or taken seriously. Many learners feel pressured to hide their natural accent. They feel embarrassed when their first language influences their English pronunciation. They believe that a strong accent means weak English. But this belief is incorrect, limiting, and harmful. In this segment, we explore something many learners struggle with silently: accent insecurity. The feeling that your way of speaking is somehow less valuable because it doesn't match a native speaker's tone, rhythm, or sound. The truth is far different. Your accent is not a problem. Your accent is not a barrier. Your accent is not a mistake. Your accent is evidence that you are multilingual, something millions of people admire and respect. Globally, the majority of English speakers are non-native. They come from Asia, Africa, Europe, the Middle East, South America, every part of the world. Each region brings its own way of speaking English. None of these accents are wrong. They are simply different. They reflect cultural identity, heritage, and linguistic background. A French accent, a Japanese accent, an Arabic accent, an Indian accent, a Spanish accent, a Nigerian accent, these are not flaws. They are varieties. The idea that only one accent is correct comes from historical misunderstanding. Native accents are not superior. They are simply one version of English. English is not owned by one group of people. English is a global language. It belongs to everyone who uses it, learns it, and communicates through it. Your goal is not to sound like someone else. Your goal is to be understood clearly and confidently in your own voice. Accent insecurity often begins when learners are mocked for the way they speak. Sometimes friends or co-workers make small comments. Sometimes teachers correct pronunciation with a harsh tone. Sometimes people online make fun of certain accents. These moments create long-lasting psychological scars. They make learners feel inadequate. They make them believe their accent is an obstacle. But let us break this illusion. A person with a strong accent can still communicate clearly. A person with a strong accent can still express ideas effectively. A person with a strong accent can still become successful in business, leadership, public speaking, teaching, science, or any other field. Look at the global world. Many respected international leaders speak English with unmistakable accents. Many world-class professors, CEOs, inventors, and diplomats do not sound like native speakers. Their accents did not stop them from making an impact. Their accents did not prevent people from listening to them. Their ideas were strong, their communication was clear, and their confidence was visible. The real question in any conversation is this: can people understand you? If the answer is yes, your accent is completely acceptable. Your focus should be clarity, not imitation. Clarity means pronouncing words well enough to be understood. Clarity means speaking at a pace that others can follow. Clarity means using simple structures when needed. None of these require you to erase your accent. They require consistency, not conformity. Accent erasing is unnecessary. Accent improvement is optional. Accent clarity is beneficial. The biggest danger of accent insecurity is that it discourages learners from speaking at all. They think, what if people notice my accent? Or what if they judge the way I pronounce words? Or what if I don't sound fluent? This fear blocks progress more than any pronunciation issue ever could. Your accent is evidence that you know more than one language. Most native English speakers only know English. You already speak more than they do. That is something to be proud of, not ashamed of. Now let's break down the myths about accents. Myth 1. A strong accent means poor English. This is false. Accent is about sound patterns. Fluency is about communication ability. You can have a strong accent and still be fluent. Myth 2. You must imitate native speakers. There is no requirement, rule, or benefit that demands this. The world is full of successful non-native English speakers who sound entirely like themselves. Myth 3. A neutral accent is more correct. There is no such thing as a correct accent. There are only clear accents and unclear accents. Clarity is the goal. Myth 4. People will not respect you if you have an accent. Professional respect is based on ideas, confidence, and communication, not on sound. Myth 5. You will never be taken seriously with a non-native accent. Reality proves otherwise. Millions of professionals lead global teams with non-native accents. Accent is not the issue. Confidence is. When a person speaks with a foreign accent confidently, people pay attention. When someone speaks insecurely, even with perfect pronunciation, people lose interest. Confidence carries far more weight than sound. Your accent will naturally improve as you continue practicing English. But even if it remains, it is not a barrier. It is simply a characteristic of your background. Think of music. Different instruments make different sounds. None of them are wrong. A violin does not try to sound like a piano. A guitar does not try to sound like a saxophone. Their differences create beauty. Language works the same way. The global English landscape is diverse. A person from Germany sounds different from someone in Brazil. Someone from India sounds different from someone in Egypt. Someone from Korea sounds different from someone in Italy. This diversity is not a problem. It is what makes global communication rich. As you continue learning, your accent will evolve naturally. It may become softer, clearer, or more consistent, but it will never disappear completely. And it does not need to. Your accent tells your life story. It reveals your linguistic journey. It holds your cultural identity. Instead of fighting it, embrace it, make it clear, but keep it authentic. The real work you must focus on is intelligibility, not imitation, not perfection, just intelligibility. This means being understood the first time you speak. That is the true aim of pronunciation training. There are simple techniques to improve clarity without losing who you are, slowing down slightly when needed, opening the mouth enough for clear vowel sounds, practicing stress patterns of important words, listening to English regularly to absorb rhythm, repeating phrases to build natural flow, strengthening tongue movement for difficult sounds, learning when to pause for clear sentences. These techniques help you become clearer, not more native. They help people understand your message. They do not erase your identity. Ask yourself what truly matters in a conversation, the sound of your voice or the value of your message. People listen for ideas, not accents. They remember meaning, not sound patterns. An accent becomes a problem only when someone lets it control their confidence. When people feel ashamed, they hesitate, pause too much, or doubt their ability. This hesitation is more damaging than the accent itself. A confident person with a heavy accent is always more respected than an insecure person with perfect pronunciation. Confidence creates presence. Presence creates influence. Influence creates connection. Your accent cannot stop you unless you allow it to. The world has changed. International companies no longer expect native-like accents from non-native speakers. Universities, global businesses, and international conferences welcome people with diverse accents. What they expect is clarity, confidence, adaptability, and professionalism. You already have the ability to develop these qualities. Now think of the freedom you will experience once you stop fighting your accent. You will speak more. You will hesitate less. You will express yourself fully. You will participate in discussions. You will take opportunities. You will open doors that fear once kept closed. This freedom begins the moment you decide your accent is not a flaw. Do not apologize for sounding like where you come from. Every accent carries strength, history, and culture. It is not a burden, it is an identity. As we close this segment, remember one clear message. Your accent is not a problem. Lack of confidence is. Speak with your own voice. Speak clearly, speak proudly, but above all, speak. Because your accent tells your story, and your story deserves to be heard. Segment 7. Why consistency matters more than speed in your English journey. Most English learners ask the same question at some point in their journey. How long will it take for me to become fluent? They want a timeline. They want a guarantee. They want a finish line they can look forward to. But learning a language does not work like that. There is no final moment when someone suddenly becomes fluent. There is no single day when everything becomes easy. Fluency is not an event, it is a gradual transformation. In this segment, we explore a principle that decides who succeeds in English and who doesn't. It has nothing to do with intelligence, talent, lucky opportunities, or a perfect environment. The determining factor is something much simpler: consistency. Consistency means showing up. It means practicing even when the progress seems slow. It means repeating small tasks daily, weekly, or steadily instead of doing one big effort once in a while. Speed is not the key, regularity is. Many learners fail not because they are incapable, but because they quit too early. They expect fast improvement. They expect to become fluent in a short time. When that doesn't happen, they lose patience. They give up. This cycle repeats over and over, leaving them feeling frustrated, confused, and inadequate. But the truth is simple. Progress in English depends on consistency, not speed. A person who studies 10 minutes a day will achieve more in a year than someone who studies 3 hours once a week. The mind needs repetition. The brain needs frequent exposure. Language is not stored in a single place in the mind. It is stored through repeated signals, repeated patterns, repeated usage. You build fluency the same way you build physical strength in small, repeated actions. Think of learning like planting a tree. You cannot water a tree with 20 buckets of water once a month and expect it to grow. But if you water it a little every day, it becomes strong over time. English is that tree. Your consistent effort is the water that feeds it. Many people believe they need to make huge efforts to learn English. They set unrealistic goals. Finishing one book every week, memorizing 50 words a day, doing 2-hour study sessions every night. These goals sound impressive, but they rarely last. The human mind cannot sustain such pressure for long. What matters is not how intensely you study in one day. What matters is whether you return the next day. A small, doable plan that you follow consistently will take you further than an extreme plan that you abandon after a week. Consistency creates discipline. Discipline creates skill. There is a psychological reason why consistency works. When you practice something daily, your brain treats it as important. It begins to build stronger neural pathways. It stores patterns, connects ideas, and remembers information more easily. This is why listening to English daily, even for a short time, is more effective than listening for hours once a week. Many learners underestimate the power of small habits. Watching a short English video, reading one page of a book, listening to a podcast on the way to work, speaking a few sentences aloud, writing a short paragraph. These actions do not look powerful individually. But when repeated over time, they create long-lasting fluency. Imagine someone who practices English for just 15 minutes every day. That equals over 90 hours of practice in a year. And that person will almost always be far ahead of someone who studies intensely but inconsistently. Consistency also helps overcome the psychological resistance that learners often feel. When you do something regularly, it becomes familiar. When something becomes familiar, it becomes easier. And when it becomes easier, you naturally grow more confident. This process happens slowly, but steadily. Think of brushing your teeth. You do it daily without thinking. You don't ask yourself if you feel motivated. You don't question whether you're in the mood. It has become a routine. English practice can become the same. You don't need to wait for perfect motivation. You don't need to wait for free time. You simply attach a small English activity to your everyday routine. Consistency becomes easier when the activity is small enough to maintain. Another reason consistency matters is that language is not mathematics. You cannot simply memorize the rules and know everything. English requires exposure in different forms. Listening, speaking, reading, writing. Each skill supports the others. If one skill is ignored for too long, you begin to feel stuck. Regular exposure prevents that stuck feeling. It makes your mind flexible. It helps you understand different accents, sentence structures, vocabulary patterns, and expressions. It gives your brain the chance to build familiarity step by step. Speed, on the other hand, creates false confidence. A person may learn fast for a few days but forget just as fast when they stop. Rapid learning without repetition fades quickly. The brain discards information it does not see often. Consistency protects your memory. It strengthens your long-term retention. Think of someone learning to play a musical instrument. If they practice for 3 hours one day but then stop for a month, they lose their rhythm. Their fingers forget the positions. Their mind loses the flow. But a person who practices 15 minutes daily becomes skilled much faster. Language learning works the same way. Repetition is not a sign of weakness. Repetition is the foundation of mastery. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is comparing their speed with others. They see someone improve quickly and feel discouraged. They wonder why they are not improving at the same pace. But improvement does not depend on talent. It depends on consistency. People who improve fast are almost always people who practice regularly. Your goal should never be to learn faster than someone else. Your goal should be to learn better than your past self. The only comparison that matters is the comparison with who you were yesterday. Consistency also helps you stay emotionally stable during the learning process. English learning has phases. Some weeks you feel strong, some weeks you feel stuck, some days everything makes sense, some days nothing makes sense. This is normal. Every learner goes through it. When you are consistent, these phases do not stop your progress. You keep moving forward even when the progress feels invisible. Over time, these small steps combine into clear improvement. Speed creates pressure, consistency creates stability. Another important truth about consistency is this: spoken English grows faster when exposure is daily. Even if you do not speak for long, daily speaking practice trains the brain to think in English naturally. The brain learns rhythm, tone, and phrasing through regular use. A learner who speaks for 5 minutes a day will become more confident than someone who speaks for an hour once a week. Why? Because the first learner builds the habit of speaking. The second learner builds the fear of speaking. Habit beats fear. Consistency builds habit. The fear of English decreases when English becomes familiar, and familiarity comes only through regular exposure. If you want English to feel normal, you must treat it as something you do every day, not something you touch occasionally. Consistency also reduces perfectionism. When you practice daily, you stop caring about mistakes. You focus on communication. The pressure decreases. Your confidence grows naturally. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to speak without hesitation. When consistency becomes part of your life, fluency stops being a dream and becomes an expectation. Finally, consistency transforms identity. It changes how you see yourself. At first, you may think of yourself as someone who is learning English. But after months of consistent practice, you begin to see yourself as an English speaker. That identity shift is powerful. When you see yourself as capable, your actions follow that belief. As we end this segment, remember one clear principle: fluency belongs to the consistent, not the fast. If you show up every day, even for small amounts of time, you will become the person you want to be. You will speak confidently. You will understand naturally. You will express yourself clearly. You will grow steadily. You do not need to rush. You do not need to pressure yourself. You do not need to compare. You need only one thing: consistency. Small efforts repeated regularly will build the fluency that big efforts done rarely never can. Segment 8: The future you are building. Why your English journey will change your life. Most people underestimate the long term impact of learning English. They see it as a subject. They see it as a school requirement. They see it as just another skill among thousands. But English is more than that. It is a tool that can change the direction of your life. It can expand your world beyond your local environment. It can open doors you do not even know exist yet. It can connect you with people, ideas, opportunities, and information that were once out of reach. In this final segment, we discuss the future you are building through your English journey. Not the future that society predicts for you, not the future that fear tries to block, but the future that your consistency, courage, and effort are creating day by day. Your fluency will not only change how you speak, it will change how you think, how you work, how you interact with the world, and how you see yourself. Learning English does not end when you perfect grammar rules. It does not end when you memorize vocabulary. It does not end when you can hold conversations. Learning English continues as long as you live, because every new experience adds another layer to your understanding. Fluency grows with you. The future you are building has many layers. Let us explore them. The first layer is confidence. Many people do not realize how much English affects self-confidence. The ability to express yourself in an international language transforms your presence. It gives you the courage to speak in groups, to ask questions, to share opinions, to join conversations you once avoided. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you grow through action. As your English improves, your confidence strengthens in all areas of life, not only in language. Imagine yourself in a room filled with people from different countries, speaking comfortably, sharing your thoughts clearly, understanding others without fear. That is confidence built through effort, not luck. The second layer is opportunity. English opens doors to jobs, promotions, international work, online business, freelancing, travel, study programs, and global communities. Companies prefer employees who can communicate internationally. Universities prefer students who can understand global content. Online platforms prefer creators who can reach worldwide audiences. English is often the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Opportunity does not come from talent alone. Opportunity comes from preparation, and by learning English, you are preparing yourself for a wider world. The third layer is knowledge. English is the dominant language of the internet, science, technology, research, and global communication. Almost all major discoveries, courses, articles, documentaries, interviews, and tutorials are available first in English. When you master English, you gain access to the world's largest knowledge base. You can learn anything from anywhere. You are no longer limited by location, background, or resources. Knowledge becomes limitless when language is no longer a barrier. The fourth layer is freedom. Many people do not talk about this, but English gives you a form of freedom that few things can match. When you know English, you can travel without fear. You can solve problems in foreign places. You can ask for help, read signs, book services, communicate with locals. You can move independently. You can explore more of the world without depending on someone else. Freedom also means the ability to connect with people globally. English allows you to communicate beyond borders. It removes isolation. It allows you to build friendships you never imagined, join communities, and become part of discussions that shape the world. The fifth layer is identity. As you grow in your English journey, your identity evolves. You start seeing yourself not as someone trying to learn English, but as someone who belongs to a global community. You begin to think differently. You begin to express thoughts in new ways. You learn ideas from other cultures. You understand perspectives from around the world. This expands your mind and diversifies your thinking. Identity is shaped by what you understand. As your English understanding expands, your identity becomes broader, richer, and stronger. The sixth layer is resilience. Your English journey teaches you more than language. It teaches you discipline, patience, and persistence. You learn to handle frustration. You learn to try again. You learn to accept mistakes. You learn to trust the process. These qualities are not limited to English. They become part of your character. They help you succeed in every area of life. Resilience is a life skill. English helps build it. The seventh layer is transformation. Over time, you will look back and realize how far you have come. You will remember the days when you were afraid to speak. You will remember the moments of hesitation. You will remember the insecurity. But those moments will feel distant because your fluency will grow so naturally, so steadily, that your old self will feel like a different person. Transformation does not happen suddenly. It happens when small improvements repeat over time. Your future self is not someone you meet accidentally. Your future self is someone you are building through every minute you practice English. Now let us talk about something important. What life looks like when you reach the level of confidence you are working for. You will be able to talk to people from any country without fear. You will be able to understand movies, lectures, interviews, and discussions without subtitles. You will be able to give introductions, presentations, and opinions naturally. You will be able to learn from global sources without limitation. You will be able to think in English when needed. You will be able to switch between languages effortlessly. You will be able to read, write, listen, and speak with clarity. You will become someone who uses English, not someone who fears English. This transformation is not fantasy. It is a realistic result of persistent effort. But here is the deeper truth. Your English journey is not about language alone. It is about becoming someone who is not controlled by fear. It is about building a stronger version of yourself. The person who becomes fluent is the same person who becomes confident. The discipline you build through English affects your career, your relationships, your opportunities, and your growth. You are not learning English just to speak English. You are learning English to expand your future. Every sentence you speak today, even if imperfect, is shaping that future. Every conversation you attempt, even if difficult, is strengthening you. Every mistake you make, every correction you receive, every effort you put in is building the person you will become. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are not failing. You are progressing. You are not slow. You are consistent. You are not weak. You are learning. Do not underestimate the power of what you are doing. Many people dream of learning English but never begin. Many people begin but never continue. You are doing something that millions are too afraid to do. You are pushing through fear, doubt, and judgment. That alone puts you ahead. One day, months, or years from now, you will look at your progress and feel proud. You will realize that every difficult moment, every moment of hesitation, every mistake, every attempt contributed to your transformation. That future begins with the decision you make today, the decision to keep going. As we close this final segment, carry this message firmly. You are building a future where English is no longer an obstacle, a future where fear no longer limits you, a future where your voice is confident, strong, and clear, a future where you communicate globally, a future where your opportunities multiply, a future where you stand stronger than ever. Your English journey is not about perfection, it is about progress. Not about speed, it is about consistency. Not about sounding native, it is about sounding confident. Not about hiding mistakes, it is about learning from them. Not about avoiding fear, it is about overcoming it. The future belongs to you. And your English journey is one of the tools that will take you there step by step, day by day, word by word. You are building something that will change the rest of your life. Keep going. Subscribe now, join the Bright World English Academy family, and let's start your English.